You are listening to the Superpower Radio Show with your host, Brenda Major. And
Mia Dawson.
hey, Mia, I cannot believe it is April. When this show airs, it is actually going to be April Fool's Day. Can you believe it?
Whoop,
And that
going
was,
by fast.
yeah, so that
Going
wasn't,
by fast.
even actually our original topic, but I had to bring that up because of the day.
Okay.
And, it occurred to me, and I don't know why I hadn't thought about this before, but
hmm
April Fool's Day is a day when people play pranks on each
hmm
other. And
Yes,
I
ma'am.
was thinking, and you know what? I just started Googling, okay, April Fool's Day and autism. And I ran across a post that a dad wrote a few years ago about his 8-year-old son. And his son was dreading April 1st. He's looking at the calendar and like for like the month before he was telling his dad, I don't think I want to go to school on April 1st. And
Oh.
his dad said, why? And he said, well, because I know people are going to be playing tricks and I don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about it, and he
Mm-hmm.
said, even the teacher's aide in his classroom was telling the kids, you better be ready for April 1st. You don't know what's going to happen. And
Uh,
that, I thought about that. And I said, wow, that would not sit well with a lot of neurodiverse folks. And I know, you know, your guy, Neo, he likes things structured. He wants to know what's happening. And so I don't think this would go well with him.
he's very literal. And
Hmm.
the jokes that he does tell, he's gotten them off TV.
Okay.
He repeats the joke and he was like, Mom, I got a joke. And I'm like, okay. And this was off one of his shows.
Okay. So
So
he's
it's
just
not
he's
nothing
yeah,
like he's
they
actually,
got
you know
laughs
what I
on
mean?
show on the TV, so he figured
Right,
he'd try it.
right.
I mean, I was remembering as I was reading this article that something happened when I was in college. They did this
hmm
big prank. The residence hall where I lived, they had just drained the pool because they were doing some repairs on it. And so for April Fool's Day, all the furniture had been moved from the student lounge outside into the drained pool. And so we
Oh,
kind of were
wow.
like, what's going on? And then you saw these big picture windows, look out the window and you see down in the pool is the furniture.
Oh,
So,
wow.
okay, it was kind of funny. I don't know when they did it. They had to have done it in the middle of the night. So,
Oh, wow.
but can you imagine somebody who is very structured, who is, neurodiverse, and they are used to having their regular seat, where they're going to sit and drink their coffee and
Yep.
study or whatever, and the furniture's gone.
Yeah.
So,
It would
yeah.
affect it. That would affect it Neo. If it
Oh,
was his
yeah.
seat, that would have affected Neo. Yeah. I can
Yeah.
see that being an issue. Yep.
So this same dad, because of his kid and his anxiety, he decided that his family was going to call April Fool's Day April Kindness Day.
Ah,
So
I
he
like
kind of
that.
flipped the script and he's like, and he even told his all of his kids, if you don't want to go to school on April 1st, we'll just stay home and we'll just have some family time.
Oh,
So
cool. Oh, really cool. I like
so
that.
I don't know how much of this pranking they do in schools now. They probably still do.
They probably,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, I just
yeah.
don't
Because
hear about it much.
even when I sub, but it's not as, I don't, I'm thinking about even last year. It was not as much as what I remember. Like you said, even when I was in school, I thought it
Mm-hmm.
was a bit, I can remember, like you said, teachers, everybody getting involved in there. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't remember it I don't remember it being as much like that anymore.
Yeah. So, yeah, but I'm just imagining because even if they don't hear about it in school, somebody who knows it's April Fool's Day,
hmm
they're going to try to prank people. And
Yeah.
sometimes, even the article said, with some people who don't quite understand neurodiverse people. They
hmm
will tell a joke or they'll do a prank and the neurodiverse kid will go, that's not funny. And then the neurotypical person says, well, don't you have a sense of humor? That's
Yeah.
supposed to be funny. You're supposed to laugh. But like you said, they are literal.
They're
So,
literal. Yeah.
yeah, so it's likely that they're going to look at you crazy. And then, when a joke goes bad and people don't laugh, the jokester feels bad. So, in the end, the superpower kid kind of has the last laugh anyway. So it's like,
Yes,
oh,
yes,
that wasn't
yes.
funny. So interesting. So I don't know if anybody celebrates April Fool's Day. I don't think I ever have because I really never liked it. And
Yeah, I don't. I remember in school because I was like, this is yeah, and I
Mhm.
actually remember being nervous
Mm.
because I was like, what are they going to do? Especially for me, younger, because I was bullied. So that
Oh,
was the
yeah. Okay.
very place of contention. It probably didn't pass till high school because I didn't get bullied in high school, but grade school, junior high, and grade school, I did, and so
Mhm.
that was nervousness for me, to be honest
Okay.
with you. Because,
Okay.
like, okay, what are they going to pull now? And then they're going to say
Mhm.
it's April Fool's Day. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to be
Mhm.
almost like
Mhm.
away with it because it was April Fool's Day.
So then we're going to say, you know what, families, if you are nervous about this or if your kids are anxious,
Yeah.
whether they are neurotypical or neurodiverse, make
Yep.
it a kindness day. Make April
Yep.
Fool's a kindness day. You
Hmm.
know, send them to school with smiles on their faces with positive things to say. If they don't think the prank is funny, they don't have to laugh.
Yep.
Just tell them, today we're going to be extra kind. And it's also the kickoff to Autism Appreciation Month anyway.
Yes, it is.
So no better time to be kind and express some kindness and some patience and some love and understanding. So
Yeah.
today we are talking about some common myths and some facts about autism. And so we've done a little research, and some of these listeners, we will just tell you that if it hasn't been a scientifically proven fact, they'll say that it is not a fact.
Right.
Uh, but you may have a different belief. We have
Correct.
different beliefs about some of these things that they
Yeah.
say are myths. And
Right.
we're thinking, maybe it's not proven yet, but we're not going to say a myth.
Correct. Correct.
One of the things, Mia, that people hear a lot, and there's different schools of thought, and I know we've talked about this. They're calling it a myth, but I'm not ready to say that uh, autism, they say that some people say autism is caused by vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Mm-hmm.
saying that it's a myth, um, only because it hasn't been completely, positively, definitely proven
Correct.
yet, because I think it would probably send the medical community into a whole tailspin. So that might have, I don't know. We're not doctors. We tell you that
Right.
all the time, listeners. We are not
Right.
clinicians. We're not doctors. We're not experts. We're just giving our opinions and
Correct.
giving some support to our autism community. So, what are your thoughts on that? What
So I've always said and I talk to I talk to all kinds of people with
Mhm.
moms, families, and I've always said that's what I appreciate about our show. We're going to give both
Mhm.
sides. We're always going to give both sides. Now, if you ask us our opinion, we're going to give you what we believe, but I love the fact that we give both sides.
Mhm.
And listeners, I want you to research for yourselves because it's like Miss Brenda just said. There's so much out there. You need to make your own truth for it by researching. I'm a research head. I love researching. Research for yourself. I know for me, when my kid came back home after 18 months after a vaccination, the MMR, he was a different kid. And that's
Mhm.
all I know. And I've told people that. I've told doc I know this kid changed. I've
Mhm.
talked to several other parents that say, hey, my kid changed. I can't tell nobody else what their experience was, but my kid changed after he got that vaccination. That was not the same kid that was before that.
Yeah.
And so I think it's like you said, it hasn't been proven, but people have experienced and gone through it. And I think people need to give, because I know, we've been in this situation where people are kind of angry. I'm like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
give people grace. I've had the experience. You may not, you may have not, but you can't tell me that I didn't experience what I didn't experience because that child was not the same child. And
Mhm.
so a popular documentary. Well, it's actually a controversial documentary. I didn't know it was controversial. I just was getting information, but it's called Vax, and
Mm,
it
yeah.
gives Vax is really it gives information from the perspective of that vaccines cause autism. But I tell everybody, watch both, watch everything, watch that, then go watch the other ones that don't, and you make your own assumption or your own, however you believe. But for me, that kid changed after he had that vaccination. That's all I know.
Well, then, and that is absolutely your observation. So
Yes,
of course that's going to frame your opinion. And and
yes,
we've both heard from families who have that same story.
yes.
So
We've
I just
yep.
don't think you can rule it out and say, oh, that's a myth. I just
Yeah.
don't think you can.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Yeah. And so another one, going along those lines is
Mm-hmm.
we hear people say, well, okay, autism is a childhood condition and you can grow out of it.
Yes, we have heard that.
Yeah. Or they'll grow out of it. It's like, if you have asthma when you're a kid, you can grow out of it. Well,
And I think what they're taking from, if I can, when I was researching this and looking over this with you, I think they're looking at maybe those kids are not showing those symptoms, but it may be underlyingly still there. So I'm thinking about like Tony Braxton's son, Holly Robinson Pete's son. Hey guys, I met her over the weekend.
yeah, you did. My sister saw the
I'm
picture.
so excited. So exciting. So her son, because there may be like remnants of it almost, but I'm wondering if is that why they're saying that, because he may not have presented the same symptoms he did when he was younger. And so
Yeah.
I'm wondering if people are getting that from that, and especially because I even think Tony Braxton's kid was able to act, and there you couldn't tell, like if you couldn't tell that he had autism at all. So
Well, and we know too, as we're learning that more adults are being diagnosed with it. So it
yes,
definitely isn't just a childhood
that's very true.
situation. But
That's
we
very true.
also know that many of these adults have been masking the
Yes,
the characteristics of it, and they
yes,
didn't know themselves. They
yes,
felt different, but they'd never been diagnosed, didn't know what it was.
yeah,
And so I think with some people, as you said, I think people think, well, if I masked it and
yeah,
maybe I didn't even know myself.
yeah,
So I think that's why maybe people are thinking, well, once he becomes a teenager or once he's an adult, the symptoms will or the how it manifests will start to change. But that is not the same as, growing out of it. If
correct,
if
correct,
anything,
correct.
I would think you're growing into it because you're recognizing what it is and
Mm-hmm.
you're learning how to cope with it and
Mm-hmm.
how to continue to live your life with it, not that you're growing
Well,
out of.
man, remember the lady we met and we became friends with, Sarah, that was on our show?
Yeah,
She found out at like, what she say? She was 40.
she was in her
So she
40s.
knew something was going on this entire time, and nobody,
Yep,
nobody
Sarah
picked it up
Bradford.
until
Yep,
she was like
yep.
40. Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah,
she
you
and
are
her
correct.
husband.
She and her husband.
It's-
Yeah.
yeah,
She and her husband.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what about and this is interesting because we call this the Superpower Radio Show because
We do.
we believe that people with autism do have superpowers,
Mm-hmm.
but also the people who care for them have superpowers. And we've done
Mm-hmm.
shows where we have featured people who are on the spectrum who have incredible gifts. We
Yes.
know that Neo has that gift of memorization and
Yeah.
remembering things. We know the artist who could see something one time and draw a complete sketch of the entire skyline of a city. So
Correct.
this one that is it a myth that autistic people have a special talent?
I think they do. I think I met some kids over the weekend at the expo in Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
and they had the one kid had been reading since they were one, and then now they're writing books. The other kid, I'm actually going to maybe feature him on one of my Wednesdays. I asked the parents permission before I do it. He was
Mm-hmm.
a Bob Marley fan, so they come and show me these videos of him doing acting out like Bob Marley. Then he also liked Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, and was able to quote all of the stinking
Mm-hmm.
speeches. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't remember. All I remember is I have a drink. I don't remember. What are you talking about? And so this special talent, I think the kid was 10. So I'm
Yeah.
like, first of all, why do you even like that? First of
It's
all,
something that they resonate with it. They
they
probably identify.
resonate with it
Yeah.
at
They
10. Because
identify with it.
I think Stefan was like asking him, he was like, well, what sport do you like? And then that's when the kid was like, no, I like Bob Marley. And he was very
Yeah,
articulate. And
he
he talked
wasn't
about
into
Malcolm X.
sports. Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I'm biased. I think they all have some special gift that the Lord has just implanted in them, and we don't have. I completely believe it.
And I guess the reason that it's listed as a myth is because we don't know for a fact
Uh-huh.
that everybody on the spectrum has a special talent.
Oh,
I guess that's why. We certainly know enough people who do.
we do. We really
So,
do.
so we can challenge that one. We can
Yes,
challenge
we
it.
really do.
Yeah.
We really do.
So, and then on the flip side of that,
Mm-hmm.
is it a myth that, okay, autistic people have learning disabilities? Well,
And this one, I thought about that not necessarily that they have oh help me, what was the dual diagnosis?
hmm,
So it was usually like when we first started our journey with Neo, they always would ask, what else does he have? And I'm like,
hmm,
that's just it.
like,
Because
what else?
I'm like, well, isn't that enough? Because we trying to figure what you mean.
Hmm.
Want me to add on
Right,
something else? Look,
right.
lady, I'm stressed out from what you just said. But they said usually there's a dual diagnosis. So they've got autism and epilepsy, autism and Down syndrome. So when I was thinking about having learning disabilities, I kind of switched that in my own head and was like, a lot of them, is there a myth that they have more? It's not just autism. They don't have that by himself. It's
Right.
usually
Okay.
something else
Yeah.
related with it.
Yeah.
And Neo did not, I guess he did. They said he had developmentally delayed. So maybe that's the same thing. But I didn't look at it from learning disability. I did look at it that the majority of them have they called it a dual diagnosis.
Full diagnosis. And we
Mhm.
know that, typically 1 in 4 people on the autism spectrum has very limited language skills.
Correct.
But
Correct.
that doesn't mean that they have a learning
That's
disability.
very true. That's
So I
very true. That's very
I
true.
think people need to understand what you always say when you've met a person with autism, you've met one person
You
with
just
autism.
met one. Yep.
And
You just met one.
the signs manifest differently in different people. You already said, hey, there are 1-year-olds who are reading. Um, I
I
think,
seen so many different people this weekend. I seen a 22-year-old. I seen a 30-year-old that was nonverbal. The
mhm,
22-year-old I seen a 10-year-old. And when I tell you they were each one, I met one of them. I did not
yeah,
meet
they're
none
all
of them
very different,
the same
all very
way.
different.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
just yeah.
Yeah, so it's a myth. And I know listeners, I know when you have a neurodiverse person who you're caring for, you want to recognize like signs and symptoms in
Yes.
your loved one that are like the signs and symptoms in somebody else so
Yes.
that you and that person's caregivers can compare notes and
Yes.
be supportive of
Yep.
each other, and you can still be supportive of each other and
Mm-hmm.
compare notes, but understand that your superpower person is still not going to manifest in the exact same way as somebody else.
Extremely. That is
And it's
100% true.
okay because
It's a hundred
they
percent true.
all they all need, like we all need, patience and love.
Yep. Yep.
That's the bottom line.
Yep.
Yeah. And so
100% true.
I've heard this a lot, and I don't find this to be true. So I agree this is a myth too, and that is that
Okay.
autistic people are antisocial.
Yeah, that's not true.
No, it is not true because we know that, okay, yes, they do typically, though not all, but typically have a hard time looking you in the eye for more
Yep.
than a few seconds. So
Yep.
I get that part. Does that mean they're antisocial? No, they may only be able to really have a conversation with you for, okay, 30 seconds or so.
Very true. Very true. Very
But
true.
that doesn't mean they're antisocial.
Yeah.
Uh, we know that some of them have issues, so they
Yeah.
really like being touched.
Yeah.
again, it's just how the symptoms are manifesting in that person. That
Hmm.
doesn't mean they're antisocial. And Neo, when he'll give you a hug, he's like down to the bone hugging. So he will hug, 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 and now he will have a longer conversation.
He will. He
So
will.
I've definitely noticed that he will definitely have a longer conversation. Is
He
he going
will.
to talk to you for an hour? Probably not. But
He's not.
but
You
you'll
can
get.
cancel. You can cancel that, and he's going to tell you when he's done and he's ready for you to
Mm-hmm,
leave.
mm-hmm. Yep. Well, okay.
And what time are you leaving? If you're at our house and they're like, "Oh, isn't it
Oh,
time for y'all to go home?" Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. He's gonna. But you're right. That's not antisocial. That's just yeah. They're not like you said. They're not like engaged for hours and all night. But they've talked to you. They've made a conversation. And I can even think about the couple of those little kids. They were able to at least talk to me for a few minutes, and then they were done.
Yeah.
They asked one of them. They wanted a picture with Neo, but they was like, "Oh, I guess we'll take one with you."
You know what? And I think the reason that people think that um, neurodiverse people are antisocial, I think it's the way that we perceive it. It's
Yeah,
not them. It's not their intention. It's how we perceive it.
very
So,
true.
but if you
Very true.
think about it, how many times have you been in a conversation with somebody and they zone out? This is a neurotypical person.
Very
They
true.
zone out.
Very true.
And somebody else comes over and they start talking to them, and you're like, oh, wait, I wasn't even done. They've already zoned out. So how is that really much different? It
Very
really,
true. Very, very, very true.
it
Very true.
really isn't.
Very true.
So now this next myth, man, we don't even want to
Mm,
say this is a myth that autism, okay, is it a myth that autism can be cured?
can be cured.
Well, okay, from my perspective, because I know that, like anything, okay, no, there isn't a cure for it yet,
Yeah.
but because it is not a disease that can kill you, is it
Mm.
necessary to have a cure for it? Or is it more necessary that we need to be understanding, patient, loving, and marvel at the gifts that these super people have? So I'm not even sure that we're looking. I know that there are families who wish they didn't have to deal with it because it's
Yes.
a lot.
I would say that. Yeah. I would say that.
Yeah.
I would. Yeah. I would say that because yeah. Even it's so fresh because it was so many people there this weekend, and so I can just pick up. Yeah, they wanted it. They wanted it gone. They
It's
did
taxing
not,
on
and
people.
I don't
Yeah,
even think they
it
wanted to
is.
go. I shouldn't even say that. That's wrong. They wanted it manageable so
Mm-hmm.
that the kid can function in life.
Mm-hmm.
They can get a job. I heard him say that they can live. The 22-year-old, the father came to me and said that the wife had died during COVID. So he
Mm.
has this 22-year-old kid. He said he worked for the railroad. He was getting ready to retire. He had already, you would be very happy because he said he had already got a trust for his son. He had
Right.
already made all the arrangements for his son. I think he said he had a 14-year-old too, but he was more focused on, he was very nervous to die. I,
Yeah.
now that's what he was nervous about. He said, I've made all these arrangements financially. He said his
Mm-hmm.
daughter and him will be taken care of, but I'm gonna tell you right now, he didn't want to die. He said
Yeah.
my wife's already gone, and it was like I don't. He's not at the place yet for him
Yeah.
to be where he can be by himself and
Yeah.
that he can
Totally
take care.
agree.
He said now he can do all that stuff, but I'm not comfortable if I was the that's what he and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So he wanted he didn't want that wasn't what he didn't say nothing about cured. I want him to be able to take care of himself,
Yeah.
pay his bills. If he want to drive, can he drive? He wanted that. So I think you're right. I think they're not even looking at it anymore as a cure as opposed to can they function like a
Yeah.
neurotypical,
And can they have a happy and full life? You know?
happy and full life?
Yeah.
Yes. I
And,
think that's where
and
I
even
think you're
that,
right. I think we're going away from that.
yeah, even that part, even as I said it, I'm thinking, okay, well, that's what I would want for somebody. But they may,
Correct.
but the person the superpower person may already feel like they have a happy and full life, you know?
Absolutely right.
That's totally up to them. Sometimes we put our projections onto them,
You're very true.
like we do on
Very
any
true.
person, you know, you can't be happy unless you have this. Well, that's your perception. That's not
Mm-hmm.
mine. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So but I'm still gonna say, okay, I don't know that it can or needs to be cured.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think we just need to continue to treat people with love and kindness and respect and help
Yeah.
them have a full life.
Well, and I think I prayed for a cure. I was like, you need.
Hmm.
I was like, and
Understandable.
I told God, I was like, you need to, whatever you do, get rid
Yeah,
of it.
get
Let's
rid of
go.
this.
I need you. I don't even. But I now think, and I still believe that to it. But if it change, I don't want his personality. I love his personality, and if
Yeah.
that's part of his
Yeah.
personality, okay, don't take that away. Now his personality is now changed. What if his personality changed and he's like a jerk? You know, I'm
Yeah.
being honest. I'm being
Well,
honest.
yeah.
And he has the most Neil has the most beautiful personality. And so
Yeah.
then my prayer kind of went to, okay, can he live on his own? I want him to live on his own
Yeah.
if he wants to. I want him to get married if he wants to. I want him to have kids if he wants to. So then it changed. So you're right. I think that's kind of that cured is kind of for I think for all of there it's evolving
Yeah.
because you
That's
do
beautiful way you said that because in some of the reading that I was doing, people were saying, "Oh, wait, no, I don't want it gone because it's him.
it's
You
him.
know,
It's
it's who
his
he is."
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I tell God to take, then that means I don't know what the other side. I don't know what it looks like without it because then what is he? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's a very good point.
If you change, so now it's kind of like okay, wait a minute. This beautiful mind that you made, this quirkiness that you've made, can
Hmm.
he please? Can he live on his own? Can he? That so my prayer changed. It
Yeah.
really did.
That's
Yeah,
beautiful. That's
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
I think we only have time for one more of these, which
Oh
means
my
we have to
gosh.
do some
Okay.
more later. And this one, it's just because we just didn't know. This myth, okay, only boys are autistic.
Yeah, that's
Hmm.
yeah,
Now, more boys we have
yeah.
seen with
Mm-hmm.
the traits of autism,
Mm-hmm.
but we know that that's definitely a myth.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a myth.
Yep.
And I don't know why this is, Mia. Maybe you have more experience with this too. It seems that in some cases girls are better at masking it.
Yes, and that's what yep, that's what I've noticed. Like they are, well, think about Sarah. So I mean, it was
Yeah,
how
grown
long did
woman. Yeah.
her whole life, basically. So for some reason, I don't know why they're not picking it up. And I've heard that time and time again when they're calling it something else as opposed
Hmm.
to it being autism. It's not, it's way later before they get to the autism diagnosis.
And this just occurred to me too because this world is so chauvinistic and
Yes.
still they don't really, it's okay if a woman is quiet and withdrawn because they don't really want women to be outspoken anyway. So I think that's why it hasn't been picked up even when they're younger, and then certainly as they get older. Well, she's just shy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Or if she's too aggressive, because some of them are like aggressive. I remember some girls being
true.
aggressive. Now you're labeling them another, you don't want to give them the autism
Mhm.
diagnosis though.
No, yeah,
So
you want to label it something, but not that.
not that. I don't know. That's not what it is. They're not that. It's
Mhm.
that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Yeah. So it's harder. And I've heard moms and dads, but I've heard moms say it was harder to get therapy. It was harder to get treatment because they did not want to
Yeah,
call.
you have to convince them that that's what it is.
That's what it is. Yeah. They're going through all these things to try to convince them of what it is.
So we're gonna have to come back and share some more of these because we could
Oh
go
yeah, because there's
on
a
and
lot
on.
more.
But
Oh yeah,
but
we
our
got to
time
do
is
a part
up.
two. We got
So
to do a part two.
yeah, we're gonna definitely
Yeah.
have to do more on this one. So, but for now, we want to thank you for sharing and listening. And if any of these myths resonated with you, and some of them, you may think are facts, you may think are myths. Again, we're just here to bring you the information to keep the dialogue going. We do
Yep.
want to say to everybody, happy, happy, happy Autism Appreciation Month.
Yep.
We're flipping the script. This is also Happy Kindness Day.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for tuning in, and please check back with us next time.
Bye
This
bye,
is
guys.
Major and Mia Dawson.